Good afternoon, everyone. Seamus McCauley, CEO of Bright Green here, and delighted to be sending through my next installation of the weekly video log, and great to be back on track after last week's delay. This week I wanted to talk a little bit about EB5 and how it really relates to Bright Green in the context of raising capital and, of course, the implementation of our business plan. So as everybody will appreciate, any pre-revenue company needs to have its source of revenue. And given the particular set of circumstances in the US at the moment regarding cannabis and the difficulty and the challenges, at a state level versus a federal level, there are two challenges with raising the requisite capital for our particular business plan in Bright Green in today's cannabis context. Number one, it's quite a challenge in and of itself. And second of all, it has become a relatively expensive process in terms of servicing the debt after the fact, if indeed that's the route to go down, or indeed the dilution that occurs from investment can be quite impactful to the founding members. Now, the EB5 program, therefore, really represented a very clear and a very worthwhile endeavour in our view in terms of the job creation associated with the EB5 program. So if we take it back to first principles, of course, Bright Green, given its status as a publicly traded company on the NASDAQ, that presented an opportunity to really allow any investor coming in to focus on, number one, the shares that are issued as a result of their investment, and of course then the job creation that comes and runs alongside the EB5 program in and of itself. And to us, when we looked at it and the scale at which we needed to access it, we were really, really pleased and really excited when we began to explore what the EB5 program was, how it functioned and how it worked, and what some of the obligations to the company were as a consequence of engaging in the program in the first place. So I think when we put it all together, actually, Bright Green have always had a desire to be, a responsible employer. Really, we wanted to generate key, impactful economic decisions that was able to be translated into the local area in which we operated. Now, Grants in New Mexico, which is where our greenhouse and our manufacturing facilities are based, is designated as a rural area. So all of this fed in really to the EB5 program and the criteria that are required in order to be eligible. As many of you will have seen on our website, we've included and published our business plan there. We feel it's important to have full transparency in that process so that actually our plans are very clear, they are articulated fully, and in actual fact people can start to look and see the impact that, number one, Bright Green will have in the region, but also then any EB5 investors who take that step forward and come into the Bright Green EB5 program can actually tangibly see the outcome of their investment and also the impact that it has both at an individual level for the jobs that are created, but also in a wider context of grants and the wider New Mexico state. So in actual fact, the mechanism that we decided to deploy with regards to the investment and the shares that are issued, that really is designated in two parts, mainly by USCIS and the rules and regulations that pertain to the investment and what each individual investor must sign up to in terms of their capital being deemed to be at risk for the requisite period of time, which is 2 years. And of course, then beyond that, fundamentally, the performance of Bright Green as a business and driving the share price on the publicly traded market, of course, has a massive impact and a potential interest to any investor who will hold those shares for the requisite period of time, and of course then has the option to hold or sell those shares at the end of their restricted period. So when we put that all together and in combination with, of course, our wider business plan, which to refresh, but as you've seen in the previous videos, the DEA registration and our federal authorization to be able to move the cannabis across state lines when it's extracted, And of course, then all of the work that we plan to do, both with the FDA on individual medicines, but also in the wider context in terms of the research and development. Actually, the EB5 program facilitated all of those works and all of those work streams very nicely. It allowed us to generate the requisite working capital, because when you look at our current greenhouse in Grants, which is currently 22 acres, the plan is to massively expand our capacity and our capability all within the same region, and to ultimately deliver 136 operational acres that would allow us to grow, manufacture and extract for all of the market dynamics that we outlined last week, in terms of the products and the market penetration. So really, EB5 was a pivotal decision that we took as a company in order to access the requisite capital to allow us to execute that business plan. Now, as we've spent some time here, I guess reviewing and addressing. That business plan is very exciting. It is holding quite a lot of promise in terms of the products, the markets, and indeed the penetration that Bright Green are able to achieve within that space, but fundamentally driven by the EB5 program and that working capital generated to facilitate the fit out, and of course then Bright Green taking on the responsibility of the employment and ensuring that through revenue generation we see a continuity of that employment for years to come. And so when we put that all together and aligned it up alongside the DEA requirements, the aspirations with the FDA, and of course then our market penetration and our product piece, the EB5 sat perfectly within our Bright Green context to be able to deliver and achieve what we needed to do. Now, we will be running a lot more information sessions on the EB5 program, specifically directed at potential investors. And I think it's important to say that of course Bright Green are keen to bring to the United States, responsible, scientifically proven, and really robust products that significantly impact on people's lives. I think the same can be said for the EB5 program, that with the investment that's brought in, it will facilitate that fit out, but more importantly, will allow us to hire key employees and really make that commitment to those employees to continue that for many years to come is the hope at this stage. So next week, what I wanted to really touch on by way of summary of everything was to pull all of that together and really to provide a robust and very clear overview of all the strands and all the elements that sit within the Bright Green business plan as they are today. A little bit on the execution of those plans and the timeframes, but more importantly then, the commencement of our program in a fundamental way, both in terms of the expansion of the current facilities, but of course our first harvest and pulling in our first product to get ready for the market to be able to address some of those customer needs that we see on the other side. So I'm sure you'll agree with me that the EB5 program really, since it's been reauthorized by President Biden, certainly within the fraternity and the professional fraternity that is the EB5 network, the reauthorization has really reinvigorated the EB5 program, and Bright Green, certainly for our part, are delighted to be able to engage in that, to bring investment into the United States, jobs that correspond to that, and of course then a business plan and an execution of our business plan to deliver long-term success, long-term growth, and of course continuity and security for those employees as we move forward. Quite a brief overview of EB5. Of course, there's a lot more detail on our website, and I would drive you towards some of the information contained within there. But of course, USCIS themselves have a wealth of information within their website. So anybody who's interested in the EB5 program, whether that's as a potential investor or indeed a current shareholder of Bright Green, please feel free to access the information and the data on our website, but more widely into the USCIS specific detail on their program as well. So for now, guys, have a really good working week and stay healthy. As I've said, that is my new watchword, and I look forward to sending out the next week's video, which will really try and pull all of those strands together and actually give us a really clear, focused overview of the plans moving forward in all their glory. That might require a longer video next week, but I think it will be worthwhile. So in the meantime, have a great week and look forward to sharing the video with you next week again. Take care. Bye.